to our first New Jack Swing podcast featuring myself, Stevie Street, and Sheldon Taylor of 2024. How are both of you guys doing?
Doing well. Doing well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. And yeah, it's good to be able to see you guys. It's yes, a nice winter. How's the weather out there in where you are, Sheldon? Because it seems as if people are telling us that the weather's pretty up and down.
Yeah, it's up and down. The temperature's dropping, going up, drop, and going back and forth. We're supposed to kind of get some snow in a couple of days, but over the past maybe 4 or 5 days, we've had high winds, 40, 50 miles per hour. So that's probably what's affecting my city.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And Mr. Stevie Street, how have you been?
Hey, raring to go for the new year. And what's the big saying at the moment? No grief for anybody coming out of your home country of Nigeria, Namdi. I'm liking that phrase.
Yes.
No
Yes.
grief for anybody.
No grief for anyone. Well, for those who are tuning in today, it's just another special edition. We it's probably one of the hardest ones I think we've done, but I know for me it was hard. This is our top 10 favorite productions by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. How do you pick 10 tracks from a group of people who've done over 200? It's like, we could have just said a top 10 tracks by that they did for Janet, or top 10 by Alexander O'Neill, or top 10 they did for Mary stuff. But this was hard. So we're going to get into that. And you guys who are watching and part of the community, please chime in. Please make sure you guys take part, ask questions throughout. Are there any plans to do track reviews on Mike's album? Okay, that's a good question, Jay. Any thoughts, guys? Doing a review on Mike Edwards'
We've
album?
just finished quite a long interview with him.
Yeah.
It's possible. It's possible.
Okay. Yeah, as I said, it was a good hour and a half interview with Mike, especially as his albums drop. But we'll probably touch on that. Yeah, we'll try and find time with that. But as I said, ask questions and drop in, because you guys make this thing part of it. So just before we kick off with going from number 10 to number 1, any music news that we need to be aware of?
We've got a trending.
Thanks, Jay.
A trending track from Tory Lanez, which he released a deluxe version of his 2021 album in November. But there's like a new Jack track, which recites a lot of the lyrics from NE's If It Isn't Love.
Wow.
And then there's the Drea Thornton mixtape. We interviewed her last night. If you want to go back on the other channel, New Jack Swing podcast channel, that's on there. That's streaming right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, a few bits there. We've got Joe Watley addressing the Shalimar situation as well. Put a video out just early addressing what is going on and put a few home truths out there. So it seems. So yeah, it's 2024 has started quite lively.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Sheldon, any music news?
Here, not so much. Everything is pretty calm. Everybody is kind of getting geared for the new edition and the Jodeci residency, which is going to start probably in about 90 days.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay. And just from my point of view, I had a 3.5 hour interview with Soul Shock from Show Shock and Carlin. All I could just say is, when he just wait until he tells you how the drama that went into record Heartbreak Hotel with with Whitney, Kelly Price, and Faith Evans, and Bobby Brown. This was at the height of their chaos. It is probably the most unbelievable set of things that have happened. So that look out for that. Tomorrow starts with the TL's Cross from La Day. His interview starts tomorrow. He's stuff from work with Albie Shaw, Bad Boy, Uptown Records, the whole Motown stuff, and lots of stuff. Yeah, so those would drop. But without any delay, this is, as I said, Jimmy and Terry have done. They are probably one of the all-time greats when we did out with producers with their track records and stuff. So I have no idea how you guys were able to put 10 tracks together. I almost wanted to say Alexander O'Neill Productions would be number 4 or something like that, but we had to stay true to it. So
I couldn't do
anyone
it.
wants to volunteer?
I
know.
couldn't do it.
It was a hard
It was
one.
hard, man. I couldn't do
We
it.
should have even restricted how many songs they did by per artist, so you couldn't do more than 2 Janets or 2 Alexander O'Neill. But anyway, we should have thought about that before we started. But yeah, I mean, who wants to start with number 10? And I'm sure we'll have, when we round up, we'll have some honorary mentions and stuff. But who wants to start? Does anyone want to volunteer? Or I can.
I'll start. And just like I said, I'll let y'all know up front that it was too difficult, man. Because when you look in terms of the tracks, you also got to look at the songwriting and everything else, man. And then I just couldn't do 10. But certain ones I had individual songs, but then I have pulled out unique songs. You'll see. I'll just say that. So for number 10 for me, and by the time I get to number 1, you'll see what I'm talking about. But number 10 for me was What Have You Done For Me Lately? Funny How Time Flies, All Right, That's the Way Love Goes, and All For You. All of those.
What you just listing the whole thing? What did you just
I told you, man. It was too. But the thing about it is that because it wouldn't do them justice, man. I mean, in those songs, I couldn't just pick, man. It was just so many. It was just so many. I mean, I have some individual songs, but songs stand out for me. Obviously, What Have You Done For Me? Just all that for me for between both of those, all those songs. All Right, was That's the Way Love Goes. It kind of saw them, their version of what him. And then, of course, when they did All For You, now they were sampling changes. So they were kind of in the vibe of what people were doing at the early 2000s, sampling like records from That's my number 10. It's hard, man. I just couldn't do individuals, man. I could.
Okay.
Now, I do have some. Though.
Okay.
I do have some.
Okay. Hey, Colin. Good to see you. Hey, Joseph. Stevie.
So basically, he's got Janet Jackson at number 10.
Yeah, he got Janet Jackson.
I kind of did a similar thing. I got like 20, 30 of the tracks that I most play that Jam and Lewis are involved in, and I whittled it down to out of that to my top 10. It wasn't that difficult actually. It wasn't that difficult because I thought these are what I played the most out of the catalogue.
Okay.
So it is. I guess it is my favourites. I'll be honest, my number 10 changed. There was a number 10. I literally changed it just before we came. So one's gone in and one's gone out and one's come in. But I'm still going to talk about the one that's gone out because it's a good memory for me. But starting at number 10, from 1989, an album by a guy called Michael Jeffries. And there's a big involvement from Jam and Lewis on this, from Jelly Bean, Johnson, Lisa Keith. The lead-off single, Not Through Being With You, features Karen White and is produced by Jam and Lewis. It's a great track, very underrated. And like Sheldon, there's another track on here which called I'm Waiting, which is just an incredible record. So them two, highly, the new jackers should know about this album. If you don't, it is a gem. It's got some untouchable stuff on this, but like I say, Not Through Being With You, a really good like pop new jack track that at the time, I've not played this album for years, but in 1989, I was literally, when I bought it, I was playing it week in, week out. I know it, I can sing along throughout the whole album. So it's got good memories for me this album. I thought, yeah, why not? Number 10, because I just play it a lot. I love the album. I like what Jam and Lewis did with him. And you don't get talked about a lot. So Michael Jeffries at number 10.
Okay. I mean, my number 10, and this was hard for me to pick which was going to be number 10. It was two Janet Jackson tracks. It was All Right featuring Heavy D. And actually, when I first heard it, I thought, oh, this must be produced by Teddy Riley because, that's hip hop with Janet. I just assumed it was a Teddy track. And then I found it was Jimmy and Terry. And I loved the video, I loved the whole concept of that. So that was, but if I at number 10, just out by What Have You Done For Me Lately? It was probably my first Janet track that I heard, and the whole and maybe when Eddie Murphy joked about that on his was it Delirious tour when he talked about Raw. Okay, when he talked about how women are saying "What have you done for me lately" and stuff. So I think that also invokes stuff that the fact that she's saying, singing in those type of words. So it made me start to think, like, what kind of, a song that really is addressing a relationship from that point of view. And it's really funky. So I would have just said 10.5 was all right, but number 10 would be What Have You Done For Me Lately? Sheldon, number 9.
That What Have You Done For Me Lately also, too, that was so catchy, like you said, it was, but also, too, when you go back to Eric B. and Rakim's first record, Eric B. in 86, it dropped the same year as What Have You Done For Me Lately, the hook, and put it in the record. He said, easy. So you scream, I'm crazy, you thought I was a donut, you tried to said, what have you done for me lately? It was just, and when he threw that in the record, it was like right in the pocket because that song was hugely popular. So it was like he just grabbed that concept and threw it in his record. And, when we heard that, we were like, oh, man. Oh, yeah, What Have You Done For Me Lately was a really potent record. Okay, for number 9 for me, it's hard. So don't beat me up. So it's going to be to now. Sorry, Not My Kind of Girl. Crucial. If I have those 3, because it's more beyond. I dig into not just the production, writing, what they were able to do. Just unlike other, just how they were able to just go ahead and have concepts and have storylines actually within the scope of the song. So even though the beats, the production was great, Kind of Girl. I mean, I had never heard another type of record like that where normally the man is they put a twist on it to where the woman is pursuing the man and the man turns obviously Crucial. I loved it, the production on that. And then it just kind of like, normally when you have a lot of love songs, the men are kind of like in a situation, normally that type of space is like a ballad. But it was an up tempo. That's what it is for me.
So you got the 3 tracks from Any Heartbreak. What about yourself, Stevie?
Yeah, I missed what he said there. Until the song
so he was
I thought, who's he talking about?
Yeah, I mean, for guys, Sheldon, there's some severe weather in his neck of the woods, so he actually had to get off his laptop and then put on his use his phone. He says it's heavy wind, about 40 miles an hour. So yeah, so hence
we're getting the sped up.
The signal's gone there.
We're getting the sped up version.
Yeah,
there's a lot of sped up of tracks.
Kanye version. You get the Kanye production version. Okay.
Chipmunk version. Yeah. Number 9. Who just put from a number 9? Well, they had a tremendous run with this group in the 80s. And I thought, how can you? They were in my top 10, and then I looked at my greatest hits, one of the greatest hits CDs that I've got from the SOS band, and I thought, you're kidding me? I've got to have some SOS band in my top 10. So my 3, I picked my 3 faves. One of them's from '82 called High Hopes, which they didn't actually produce that. They wrote it, but it's an incredible boogie, and it just goes up and up. In Sheldon, you know all about that record. Then there's The Weekend Girl, which everybody knows. We know that's a big record. And what's the other one? No one's gonna love you. Again, which has been sampled to death. So SOS Band number 9. You listen. If you've not got any SOS Band, get yourself at least the greatest hits from start to finish. Fantastic group. I mean, it's got Jam and Lewis's signature sound on this, and they kind of developed what we'd hear late with Alexander O'Neal within this group. So, and I'm sure Sheldon will go into more detail about him as we progress. Yeah.
Okay. My number 9, and this was a track that was such an underground hit that started to become very big mainstream, and it's "Open Up My Heart" by Yolanda Adams.
Nice.
And yeah, it was such a. The story goes that Sylvia Rohn, who was the head of Elektra at the time, wanted to really do something more inspirational, and the song just started to slowly move up the chart, and it just took off. And the pace. Yeah, Yolanda has such a powerful voice, but the way they controlled the whole thing, I loved it. It was one of my tracks that was in my,
What year was
the
that?
first 2 or 3 years. Oh, I need to look and see, but it was definitely one of the tracks that I completely had on my rotation. Hey, Big Mike. So yeah, that was open. Yeah, so that was that was one of my favorite ones. I'm trying to say "Open Up My Heart."
That was like early 2000s or something like that.
No, it was 99. Yeah,
99, right.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it came out 99 to 2000. So you're right, Sheldon. It was such a, as I said, it was, and it just started to peak, and it's her biggest hits and everything. And it helped to reach another side. But the fact that I was Jimmy and Terry, that's the thing about, you're gonna find out today, guys, that Jimmy and Terry don't have always a signature song like when they do the Janet. Yeah, it was, no, the album was it was "Open My Heart."
No, it's
the
not
name of the album.
But no, there is some Jam and Lewis stuff on this album, but it's not this one.
Yeah, so they continued to work with her. It was the Mountain High, Valley Low. That was the album.
All right.
Oh yeah,
check that one out.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mountain High, Mountain High, Valley Low. Yeah, and the album went, yeah. So it was a big track for her. So, you remind me. I mean, as I said, Jam and Lewis have done so much. So, Sheldon, who's your number 8?
Number 8 for me is the SOS Sands of Time. If anybody has never heard that record, obviously you hear that Jam and Lewis, man, their production word, if I can associate one word with their production, is sparkle. It's like glitters and it shines. It's slick. It's lush, easy on the ear. And then when they talk about the Sands of Time, another great concept, when they're talking about the Sands of Time, and just a very, very clever concept. So everybody.
What's the song? What song was it, Sheldon? Because some
it's
couldn't hear it.
Sands of Time. Sands of
Time by who?
That's a West Band.
Yeah, it's the title of one of their albums. It was, they did an album called Sands of Time.
Yeah, very, very good. Just very great record. So you want to just go back, it's a great record. Again, like I said, they're very good of love songs. And so when they're looking at the Sands of Time, love, the longevity, that type of thing, but great song. So that's my number.
Your number 8. Yeah. Stevie, what about your number 8?
Number 8, you've already mentioned it, but I didn't really get into her properly until she released Miss You Much from the Rhythm Nation album in 1990, 1989. Obviously, I'd heard some of the singles from the Control album, but I think it was the Rhythm Nation album and what Jam and Lewis did on that album production wise, and the way they took Janet to a completely new level. So in my Janet Jackson list, I've got Miss You Much. I've got the pleasure. I've actually got the Pleasure Principle because I went back and checked out Control, and I just like the groove of the Pleasure. It's a lot. It's a record I play a lot. I've got Lonely, an album cut from Rhythm Nation, a track called Lonely. It's like a mid-tempo ballad near the end, which just haunts me when I listen to it, and I still play that to this day. And then finally, That's the Way Love Goes, which it's one of the best records ever. That for me, it's just a great record.
Okay, so you just combine a bunch of Janet tracks into your number 8.
Jam and Lou, Janet, that play a lot from a catalogue. So, and number 8.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a dope record, and you know when you look in terms of when it came out, it just stayed on rotation, MTV, on the radio. The Way Love Goes, I love. They went ahead once again. They had the underneath payback sample underneath. It was just dope, man. It put her in the vibe, like you said, Steve. The second album, Rhythm Nation. Well, the second album they did with her, Rhythm Nation, down to what was out now. And then when they did the Janet album with that first record, That's How I Love, put her in the sexy vibe. It did the Pleasure Principle, even though it wasn't the biggest before it. A lot of people loved that record because all the other records seemed like they were kind of like like big, like pop. But that video for Pleasure Principle and the song Together, I think that was the one that one of the songs that gave that album like a staying power because people try to emulate it, fashion and the type look. But yeah, good.
Yeah. Okay. Roger saying which did you say Lonely? Which one was Lonely?
It was on the Rhythm Nation album near the end of Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation.
Lonely?
Yes.
Okay.
See, people have forgotten it completely, but wait till you play that. It's just a little
Okay.
that creeps up on you, but it does haunt me.
Okay. Let me see it. Yeah, because we couldn't even see it. But all right. Okay, so let me look at the album here to see State of the World. No, it doesn't seem like the track listings.
Go on Disco.
Oh, Lonely. Yes.
Is it there?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is there. Yeah. Okay. My number 8. And Big Mike mentioned it is Optimistic by Sounds of Blackness, and it's and it's funny, it comes right after Yolanda Adams, so there's more of a gospel inspiration stuff about that, but it's when you just do, and they did some other ones, Best Singer Live for Free, so they knew how to just turn up the inspirational side, and what they did with Sounds of Blackness was definitely magical. But I don't think you can play Optimistic in any environment, in any environment, and you get everyone. That's a powerful track that anyone can be, sing it and vibe with it and not think this is a gospel track, but it was more of a feel good, lift your head up high. So yeah, Optimistic is my number 8.
It's an absolute anthem. Absolute anthem.
Great album, great song, and that Optimistic, man. That was because of the beat. Obviously, it had that anthem vibe in clubs, man. That record that was right alongside, like when you look at records, Crystal Waters, the House Dance records. That record was right, and people loved it.
Yeah. What's your number 7, Sheldon?
7 record is going to be a song called "Making Love in the Rain." I don't know if you've in '87, and during this
by
time,
who?
I'm gonna set it up for you. Obviously,
okay,
because they were producing Janet Jackson, and Janet Jackson was signed to A&M, just like how Teddy Riley, that 88, 89,
90 window when he was super hot. 687 window, Jammin' Lewis was hot. So the people who own A&M Rec trumpeter named Herb Alpert. So they produced his whole record. The artist is Herb Alpert. Jammin' Lewis did. They have a female singer in their production camp, and she's singing the song "Making Love in the Rain." And Janet Jackson was, and for a long period of time, no one knew who Lisa Keith was. They thought it was Janet Jackson because this. So I challenge everybody to go check that record out. The trumpeter background, but Janet and Lisa are singing the hook in the backgrounds. And the artist is Herb Alpert. So check that out. Making Love in the Rain.
So Making Love in the Rain by Herb Alpert.
Herb Alpert, yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
okay.
Great.
Okay.
It's a ballad. It's
Stevie,
kind of in the vein of Funny How Time Flies and that kind of soul like that.
Okay. Stevie, what about your 7?
I may have touched on this story before, but back in the early 90s when I used to hang out with my DJ best friend who introduced me to a lot of records, a lot of club nights, a lot of record shops around the city because I was just so young. He took me to a warehouse in Manchester called Power Cuts, and it basically stocked cut out deleted vinyl from America. There'd be like 4 shipments a year of rock, pop, soul, hip hop vinyl albums, and there was that many. They'd all have cutouts in the corner of the vinyl, and there was literally thousands of albums. They just ended up in this warehouse, and they were 99 pence each. And he'd take me in there, and he'd just go, "Hold your hands out," and he'd literally just put vinyl in my hand, because just buy these, take them home. And to be honest, it was a lot of 80s because I was so into New Jack. He was putting 80s stuff in my hand that I didn't really want it, but I just thought he's going to buy it anyway. But I'll tell you what, I'm so glad he did, because in that pile at number 7 was Herb Alpert, Making Love in the Rain. I went on to buy the CD eventually, but it's another haunting record. It haunts you, that record. It's incredible. The keys off. But yeah, I'm looking at this vinyl album by some trumpeter called, who the hell's Herb Alpert? Will I ever play this? He goes, "Oh, you want that, Steve? It's got a Janet Jackson record on it." I went, "Janet Jackson on a Herb Alpert?" He went, yeah, just go home and play it. I bought it for 99p. Years later, I picked up the CD. That must be very hard to find that now on CD. Original 1987 CD. But Sheldon, what can I had a feeling our top 10s had matched tonight, actually.
That album,
that
album was called Keep Your Eye on Me. And they had a lot, man. When we look at Teddy, 88, 89, 90, man, Jammin' Lewis had the magic 86, 87, man.
There's another track on here called Diamonds with Janet on it as well.
Diamonds.
That's
on my list too. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. I wish I could say my Herb Alpert was also my number 7, but I'll be honest, I'd never heard of it.
That would have been a bingo tonight. Imagine if that had been the first time ever.
It would have definitely. My number 7 is one of the 3 times this guy is going to be on this is Criticize by Alexander O'Neal.
Amazing.
I have to be son. I would have just said Alexander O'Neal and then list 20 songs, but there were 2 other tracks that I'm going to have later on that are just magical. But Criticize. I'm looking, as a kid listening to that, hearing a guy saying, "Why you criticize me?" just didn't make sense. Like, well, we don't talk like that. Just the magic of Terry's writing and Jimmy's melody, then Alexander's delivery, because we had him in our top 10 favorite male singers because he was just very unique in everything. But Criticize. It's just a funky, catchy. The women's the harmonies at the back. Love the track.
who's singing in the
Love.
background, that's the same person singing. Lisa Keith, one that's singing Making Love in the Rain. So if you love the harmonies on that,
Okay.
go back. Yes.
You know,
I'm gonna have to check it out.
it's funny because when I got in my car yesterday went out to do a bit of shopping. I switched the radio on, and the first thing that came on the radio was Alexander O'Neill Criticise. And I thought, what a coincidence, we've got a Jam and Lewis thing coming up, and it just reminded me, like, this is like one of my all-time favourite records, this, and it's just playing right now.
Yeah. Sheldon, who makes your number 6?
My number 6, SOS Band, Weekend Girl. I'm gonna tell you, man, when you look in terms of ballads, right? Male and female, it's you know, Jackie, you look at Weekend Girl. Again, lyrically, Terry is a genius. The song is about a woman. I call it a blue collar love song. Man is trying to seduce the woman, but she's so caught up in a 9 to 5 or whatever, and she's singing, and then at the end of the song, there's the dialogue of Bevan's talking, she's doing the talking, and the man's seducing her, and they end up going out to the beach or whatever. But SOS Band, Weekend Girl, Terry Lewis's songwriting is, man, I won't say it's underrated because they got 3, but his songwriting is genius. So anybody who never heard Weekend Girl, man, check it out.
Just a classic. It's a classic record.
Yeah. TL Cross worked with Jimmy and Terry for about 1.5 years and did some productions for Yolanda Adams. So he talks about that. And the one thing he said about Terry was that when Terry is he's where he writes songs, it's like he says, in life everyone needs rain, and ups and downs. I mean, he goes into philosophy when he's thinking about writing, like, can you stand the rain and how the rain comes in and stuff, and he doesn't just mess around with this stuff. So I can't even begin to give it justice the way he described Terry as a writer and Jimmy as a melody, as a producer. Stevie, number 6.
You've already mentioned it, but it's a bit further up in my chart. It is an anthem. It's an anthem for the black music communities. It's what what the song stands for. Obviously, Sounds of Blackness, optimistic. Not just a gospel thing, but it's just anyone who's going through a certain thing. It's just you just put that record on, and it just. Such an uplifting record, and it's telling to keep going, really, if anything, just to keep. But yeah, what a record! I mean, probably heard it one too many times at the time, but why not? It's got to be there. That has to be in your Jam and Lewis top 10 as a song,
Yeah,
it could be number one.
Could
be number one. That Fred, such a great song.
Yeah. But the thing about it, if an interview I heard with Jimmy was about when the guys, when they got signed to A&M and had the Perspective Records, they didn't really want a record label, but they were talked into by A&M because a reward for all the stuff they did with Janet, and so they put groups like Sounds of Blackness and Solo and Mint Condition, where they could just put artists out there. Unfortunately, when A&M got sold, they were like, well, we're not making as much money with these acts, and that kind of ended that whole thing. But they were able to put out groups like Sounds of Blackness, which most labels at the time probably wouldn't have signed unless you're a gospel label, so this was, and it's amazing. Yeah,
they had a great run.
They
had a really good run with that label. I thought they put some brilliant stuff out on Perspective.
Brilliant stuff, yeah. Really, brilliant stuff. Amazing stuff. My number 6, Encore, Sherilyn.
Great record.
I'm gonna tell you.
I'm impressed tonight, Namdi.
I'm tell you, Namdi. When I was a kid, I hated that record. when I was, because that record was 16 years old. Man, I hate that. I hated that record, and then I love it, man. I mean, it's all. As a matter of fact, it's all over TikTok and oh my God, that's her big. I mean, there was a record she came out with back. She was young. That was a big record for her. It was like came out like in '78. Got to Be Real, nice dance. Came out with Encore. That song was all over the radio, man. But I didn't like it back then. I love it, man.
Oh no! As a kid, when it came out, I mean, it's it's with the melodies they do with her, and it also feels just a feel good track. Yeah, goodness, and it takes me back to being a kid, but love the track. But I didn't realize it was them. They were just sprinkling their magic everywhere. But that's I mean,
I would say
number
to
6.
anybody that's been in a nightclub or DJ'd and heard Encore on a sound system, the way it starts, because it goes and it goes right up there, and you hear that on a club sound system. It's the best way to hear that record is in a nightclub. It just blows your head away, because the dance floor just it's a dance floor filler. It's the way that record starts.
Yeah,
coming in there, it goes, and the whole floor shake, the whole room shakes. It just, again, incredible production.
And one good thing about the songwriting, when you look at Terry Lewis's songwriting, songs that they have, like when people write songs now, the song title and then they don't go together with a lot of modern R&B records. It's just like it's an afterthought, or the lyrics are afterthought. But if you look at like Jamie Lewis slew of songs where the song is one title, it's like a book report. You got a book report, and everything flows. It supports the subject that you're writing on. Criticize, encore,
fake,
hearsay. They're very good at the themes, sticking to the topic. So yeah, great.
I don't know if you can put this up, but Amelia said,
Wow.
Sorry.
What a comment that is.
Yeah.
We're all adults, we can put it up.
Yeah. But Sheldon, what makes you number 5?
My number 5 is High Hopes. SOS Band. That record, even though it wasn't produced by them, it was produced by Leon Silvers, who worked with his brother and somebody else. But of course, that's the very first record that they ever wrote, and it was for the SOS Band, but the song, obviously the groove, but the way Terry is writing in terms of the relationships, and I encourage anybody to go and listen to SOS Band's High Hope. Obviously the track, you got the drums, the keyboards, and it just builds. But when you listen to all three, it's a songwriting at its finest. So SOS Band, high 5.
Okay. Stevie, you're number 5.
I knew we'd eventually pick that record, Sheldon. I looked at it before and I thought High Hopes, and I thought that's one of Sheldon's, but it's too good not to mention.
Yeah, man.
Number 5. You know what? When we did our female New Jack special, I'm not sure we give this next artist, enough props. I need to go back and watch that, because I'm thinking this lady was what Mary J. Blige was to the 90s. This lady was, to the 80s. She was the Mary J. Blige of the 80s, Cherelle. And I don't think you can't have a Jam and Lose top 10 without having a Cherelle record. And my 2 favorites were, they're not on this CD. I couldn't find the other CDs, but when you look in my eyes again, that just the chords, the melody, the lyrics haunts me to death. That record, I keep using that phrase, but it does. And Everything I Miss at Home, which is on a later album, and it's got a bit of Alexander O'Neill in as well, more of a ballad. But I'd say When You Look in My Eyes is just, it's a bit of an 80s soul classic as well. Those of you on the 80s groove, come out of that clubbing period, will know all about that record. And if you've not played it, listen to it before, have a listen to it. You know, so Sherelle did a lot of work with Jam and Lewis. She was the 80s Mary J. Blige. There was a lot of babies being born that ended up being called Sherelle because of the effect she had on the community. So yeah, she's my number 5.
And great artist. And you know, it was just like she was kind of in between doing the whole dancing like Janet, and she wasn't singing the whole like Whitney Houston and Annie the Baker. She was right in the pocket. Her songs were very great delivery, and she can pull off up tempos in those ballads, man. You go off. I have Fragile, what she did in '88. I have that. I don't have to go back and go revisit her catalog, man. Oh man.
Yeah. So my number 5, and I got stuck similar to say Sheldon with my number 5 was the tracks that they did on the Any Heartbreak. So I put one of my favorite on there would be Boys to Men. I just loved the thing between Johnny and Ralph. And I think the first time I heard it, I thought it was a man and female singing. How high Ralph's voice was. Loved the track, but Can You Stand the Rain? I think because it gets played too often, that's probably why I prefer Boys to Men to that. But the same way I love Not Your Kind of Girl, Not Your Kind of, You're Not My Type of Girl. I just love that. And Is It Isn't Love. So the production on the Any, I needed to just group them together. So what they did for them on that album, and the longevity, the longevity and the stability of those tracks today. But yeah, if I had to pick one out of all of that, it would be Boys to Men, because that really took them to another level on that. But that was my number 5, the production on the Any Heartbreak album. Sheldon, what makes you number 4? Okay,
Number 4, SOS Band, Just Be Good to Me.
Just Be Good to Me.
You know,
okay.
And the thing about it is that when people don't realize is that when you got to go back to like guys like Kashif, where they were using Oberheim keyboard, drum machine. There was a Lynn drum, and what Prince was using and all of that. But Jam and Lewis, in terms of, and Marvin Gaye for Sexual Healing, but Jam and Lewis was like the first producer, the 808, the TR 808 drum machine. So when you listen to those records that they have, like Clubs, the ballads had that what we would hear with Keith Sweat, they would hear those, you know, Tell Me If You Still Care. It's right in the, I challenge people all the time to go back, listen to Tell Me If You Still Care. And you were here with Sherelle with the Mallards. Once again, Terry songwriting. You know,
is that the conversation? Is that the 4th SOS Band track you've had in your top 10, Sheldon?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
So far, wow.
That's my fifth one. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Stevie? Who's number 4?
Well, we've already mentioned him, but Alexander O'Neill's at number 4. Again, it could have been number 1, but listen, What's Missing from 1986? Oh my God! Oh, the album mix and the 8-minute 12-inch mix. Oh, it just blows me away. Criticized from 87 blows me away. Never Knew Love. What a career he's had, Alexander O'Neill. What a career that man's had.
Yeah.
You know.
You go back and listen to What's Missing, the song. Go back and you listen Alexander O'Neal. He's singing the song, and it's like now the lyrics. It's like it's now he's singing in this single style, the way Terry is writing the lyrics. It's great, man. It's like drama to the record. It's kind of you hear the lyrics. I'm talking. I walk through the ocean in a hurry. That whole bridge. Go back and listen to that. I'm telling you, man. People don't write songs. That bridge on What's Missing. Oh man, yeah.
So my number 4 is Alexander O'Neal. A Broken Heart Can Mend.
Great record. Just great.
Oh, goodness. It's the keys and the stuff. He's so Alex is such a big guy, but when he's singing, Lord. And this is me being in secondary school or primary school, listening to this track and just really, really loving the whole delivery, the softness and of how he's delivering it, and of course the backing vocals as well. Yeah, that's, as I said, I think we don't realize how effective these guys have been for all these years, just consistently just delivering track after track. And I love the fact that what they did for Alexander O'Neal was to just give him, make him such a big star. But that's just I think that is one of my favorite Alexander O'Neal tracks by them. So that makes my number 4. Sheldon, what's number 3?
Number 3, SOS Band. Tell me if you still care.
Gosh, he just wrote down the SOS Band's greatest hits tonight, hasn't he?
SOS Band, you hit the 808 drum machine and you hit the cowbells. Tell me if you still care. So when you look at everything that we're hearing in the 90s, it's all in the vein, man, of what those guys are doing. I love it. And then those it has a strong hook to where it starts off, man. It's just so catchy, man. And so yeah, that's my number 3.
I mean, if let's talk about Jam and Lewis producing groups, because they did a lot with the SOS Band, did stuff for Mint Condition. I'm trying to think of other groups that did solo. Who do you think their best work was with? Probably the SOS Band. Would you agree?
I would say in terms of group, yeah, I would say them. And then maybe New Edition, probably a slight do an entire second record with New Edition, even though they have Puffy and everybody on. It's a dope album. I love it when they produce their albums are featured. When albums, whoever the people they work with, all of their songs on there, big 360-degree perspective. That's why Any Heartbreak is so dope. It's another album after Any Heartbreak, or if they just never made any album before Any Heartbreak, it would still be classic, man. It gets, when they write songs, create it's in totality, man. So yeah. That's why, yeah.
Okay, so what's your number 3, Stevie?
Oh, before I get to my big 3, I'll just give a few shouts to some of the regulars who, listen, you could be doing anything on a Sunday night, but you're here with us tonight. So shouts to Colin Mills, to Big Mike, Rich O'Kett, I can see you. Lovely to have you on board. We've got Richard Ashcroft, we've got Miss Tanya Parker. Good evening to you. Listen, if you tune in live right now, we appreciate you. So thank you. LaFace Era, Amelia. Yep, thank you very much for tuning in. Right, number 3. Wow. Ralph Tresvant, Sensitivity, and I've also got Money Can't Buy Your Love, my 2 favourite. I could even do What I Got to Do in there as well, because again, Do What I Got. Oh, that's just another one that haunts.
You heard,
I think we've all broke up with a girl in the past. It's a kid. It kills you to do it, and that record just That, you know, but I think I've talked about sensitivity on you know,
Yeah.
our classic that is, and Money Can't. That's one for the new jackheads. That one of really Jam and Lucy's best new jack productions on Mo Money.
Yeah.
So number 3 for old Ralph or young Ralph or cool Ralph or slick Ralph, however you see him. You know,
Result. Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 3 and is and I know we've mentioned him quite a bit today. SOS Band, the finest.
What is this comment from Amelia? This is just dearie me.
Oh, I didn't see it. Okay. So yeah, the finest SOS Band. That was big in because I was in high school in Nigeria. That was big, you know, and it was big in our high school dance off and stuff. And it's still you're the finest. Oh, just love the
Sorry,
track.
Natalie, I'm
Love
just
the track.
distracted by that comment. Who was
Yeah,
your
no.
number 3? Sorry, really sorry.
SOS Band, the
Brilliant.
finest.
Yeah. Sorry, go.
Yeah, you know, you know, anyone who's, in fact, if you talk to anyone who's of Nigerian descent and they went to high school in Nigeria, they'll tell you that was such a massive track. And I just love that. That's only, I mean, of course, they did a lot of stuff with the SOS Band, but that, as I said, that's my number 3, and it's a track that I still play right now. Yeah. So before we get, so we're down to our top 2. But there's a lot of people who are talking about, and I don't know if any of you guys had them on your list. Human by Human League.
Yes. I got on my honorable mention. I got him on there. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, okay. After we do our number 2s, we'll do an honorable mention before our number 1s. Okay. So, yeah, Sheldon, what's your number 2?
Number 2 is the Neil debut album, and the reason why I had the entire album is because
Which debut album?
Alexander O'Neal.
Oh, Alexander
Alexander
O'Neal's
O'Neal.
debut album.
And the reason why I got it's split down the middle, you know. And I'm dating myself, but when the album came out, it was the one side was up tempos, the other side were the ballads, and powerful record. You were meant to be my lady, not my clever. But then those ballads, man. A broken heart can even what's missing was really dope. But when he you know, those ballads were great. His stage show, because there was one ballad on there, I can't forget the name of it. Stage, when he's performing in concert in the UK at the Hampton Podium, and when you see the video, there's a video and he's laying in the bed by himself, and he's just like he's got. You might be able to help me out. The ballads on the first album, A Broken Heart Can Mend, and what's the other two ballads on there?
Yeah. If you were here
tonight, this bed is too big. That's the one when he has the bed. You one more.
I mean, he's known for 3. Alexander O'Neal is known for 3 big tracks, really. Criticize, the one you just mentioned there before, Nandi. If You Were Here Tonight.
A Broken Heart.
No, If You Were Here Tonight.
But Sunshine was.
No, If You Were Here Tonight was
Criticize Fake.
Huge. And Saturday Love with Sherelle. They're the 3 main tracks that Alexander O'Neal.
Sunshine was very big, though. Sunshine, people.
Not as big as If You Were Here Tonight. If you were here tonight, it's on every 80s soul compilation you could ever manage to pick up. It's always there.
You
know.
Yeah.
But was that your number 2, Sheldon?
That's my number 2. Yep.
Wow.
What about you, Stevie?
Number 2. Had to be, didn't it? Had to be New Edition. The that Any Heartbreak album is so far up my list of 1 or 2 that number 2, I could put the whole album. I could mention the whole album. I'll just mention my faves. You're Not My Kind of Girl, Can You Stand the Rain, and Boys to Men. Them the 3 picks. But then again, Crucial is one of my all-time favorite 12-inch mixes. But that was Jelly Bean. But he wrote that as well. So number 2, New Edition, man. Any, you know, and all the tracks on it, you know, just because I've grown up with that album, and it, you know, it's not an hard choice, is it? Not a hard choice at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, they took them to another level with,
So-
with that
totally,
album.
totally.
Yeah. My number 2, I don't. Yeah, it's Saturday Love. Oh goodness. You know, they talk about just being one verse and that they sing over, but just the blend of the two of them singing. Oh goodness. And this was also big in high school in Nigeria as well. Loved it. Saturday Love. And it's still played now. If you go to, you know, if you go to a Nigerian party, they just have to play that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it, yeah, it's still. And then when Alexander comes in, oh goodness, yeah, just loved, yeah, it's weddings and stuff like that. Saturday Love, it's just magical. You know, that's an amazing sort of duet. But it's, you know, and I think they, yeah, I think I've been trying to get Jimmy Jam on the show for forever. He does follow me on IG, but yeah, it's been hard trying to get him on to go through all these tracks with him. But Saturday Love is it's number 2 for me, like classic track. So Sheldon, before you get to number 1, we need to go through your list of honorable mentions. I'm sure there's a lot of them, and I've got some as
I'll
well.
be
So, what
yeah,
makes your honorable mentions?
quick. Obviously, honorable mentions everything that they did for Johnny Gill. Everything. Also on my honorable mention is the Force MD's Tender Love. That was that one. Then another SOS band record they did called Borrowed Love, a great way of Terry Lewis writing in a, if you ever hear the record, listen to it and listen to how the Mary Davis she's singing it night straight away. It's more like a syncopated style song, so she can't live on borrowed love, which is a great, great phrase that Terry Lewis is writing. Morris Day, Fishnet. It's in one where Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis could also write with humor. Diamonds. You hear Lisa Keith and Janet Jackson on that one. Keep Herb Alpert, Sherelle, Everything I Miss at Home, Mystic, Boys and Men on Bended Knee. That's like their version of writing. When we heard from End of the Road and all that, the records that Babyface and LA wrote, guys, Love Is All We Need. Very, very good record. They sample put underneath there, which is good. And of course, Human. You got to realize that people, the output, how prolific they were from 84, 5, 86, 87. They were like an assembly line, man. But Human, because I remember Human League before them, and they had the whole Don't You Want Me, Baby, that were out in the early 80s, which were cool records, man. But when they came out with Human, all over R&B radio, man. Big record for them. So those are my honorable mentions.
Okay. Before you get to yeah, I wonder if you guys can see this. So Jimmy, oh, you can't see that. So Jimmy Jam has just posted a thank you on IG because yeah, what's his name? TL Cross gave them talked about watching them perform, so he just gave a thank you and stuff. But before you go for your top, your number 1, go for your 10 down to 1 for those who are just joining in.
Okay, so my what have you done for me lately? Funny how time flies. All right, that's the way love. Number 9, New Edition. Sorry, You're Not My Kind of Girl. Crucial if it is SOS band. Sands of Time. 7, Herb Alpert, Making Love. SOS band. Weekend Girl. 5, SOS band. saying High Hopes. 4, and me. 3, SOS Band, Tell Me If You Still Care. 2, the debut album.
Okay. And then what makes you number one?
You ready for number 1? Okay. The entire album. Again, when
The entire
what?
Hearsay.
Oh, Alexander O'Neill Hearsay.
Yeah. And what makes that album
Great album.
Is because the album is like, even when you look at the second one, the first one is like a concept album. It's a concept album to where all of the songs tell a story. So he starts off with having problems with his girlfriend. What can I do to make you love me? All the way to Crime, Sunshine, and then Fake was really, really, it was really funny, humorous way. Criticize was obviously a big role. Yeah, and I gotta say, I forgot my last honorable mention. This album, My Gift to You, classic, man, classic modern Christmas album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stevie, you want to go from 10 to
I will. Can I get a
10
few?
to 1? Oh, but on your honorable mentions as well.
All right, I'll start off with, in the late 90s, they had another label through Universal called Flight Time Records, and they signed this lady to a label, and they invested a lot of money in her. And I remember playing her first single in a nightclub a lot, and it got a lot of plays by a lot of the soul connoisseur DJs in the UK. And the story goes is, like, when they launched her album, they did an album listening party, which they invited the who's who of people to come down and check her out as a new artist. And apparently, I think the story was she was really late, or she didn't even turn up, or she was late. And after that, they dropped her. They literally dropped her, and she was going to be at number 10. And then I remember Michael Jeffries, and I thought, well, the fact that she turned up late to her own listening party, and the fact that some of these artists who are interviewed don't even show up sometimes, I thought, I'm going to take her out of my top 10. That's a little private joke there. Called Angel Grant. She had a record out called Little Red Boat in 1998, which is an absolute gem of a track. Investigate the album, investigate the remixes, especially. There's a tip for you of Little Red Boat, but it's an absolute gem. But that's one of my honourable mentions. Others are Johnny Gill, Wrap My Body Tight. I love that record. Didn't make my top 10. Usher from 2001. You Remind Me, one of his biggest records.
Got that record, yes.
Luther Vandross, 1997. It appeared on a greatest hits album called I Won't Let You Do That to Me. A very funky mid-tempo. Brilliant song. Anne Nesby from a 1997 album. I've got In the Spirit, which is very, very optimistic kind of thing going on there. Brilliant song. I've got Mary J. Blige, Everything from, is that 96, 97? I've got Cheryl Lynn from 2004 from a soundtrack called Sweet Kind of Love. Brilliant, like, club track. I've got Bobby Ross Avila, a track called La La Love, brilliant ballad from his Perspective album. I've got Rajane, Turn It Up, Take Your Time from a solo album, again on Perspective. I've got Low Key, Got a Thing for You, Hey There Pretty Lady, Sweet on You. I've got Mint Condition, Breaking My Heart. I've got MC Light, Ice Cream Dream, and I've got Karen Wheeler, I Adore You. All brilliant records that we've not tonight. You know what I mean? Super. Anyway, from 10 down to 2 was Michael Jeffries, Not Through Being With You and I'm Waiting. SOS Band at number 9 with High Hopes, No One's Gonna Love You, Weekend Girl. Janet at number 8 with That's the Way Love Goes, Lonely and The Pleasure Principle. Number 7, Herb Albert, Lisa Keith, Making Love in the Rain. 6, Sounds of Blackness, Optimistic. Number 5, Sherelle, When You Look in My Eyes. Number 4, Alexander O'Neill, his whole career. Number three, Ralph Tresvant, Sensitivity, Money Can't Buy Your Love. Number 2, New Edition, the whole Heartbreak album. And at number 1, listen, there's only one. There's only one number 1. There's only one record that can be at number 1.
Go ahead.
There's only one record that can be at number 1, and it's got their hallmark sound. It's been sampled. It was the benchmark that's been used. You hear it in Ralph Tresvant record. You hear it in Sam Smith records. You're hearing it in so many other records. But it's Human League, Human. It's such a simple song, but it's probably the best song.
Here you go, Colin.
There's no it's just simple. There you go. One of the greatest pop records ever made. What else do you need to say? There's the CD from '86.
And Steve, when you background vocals, that's Lisa Keith.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, you threw me with that one, Steve. I didn't think.
Listen to
the people were saying Human League enough.
It's just
wow.
Their best records. They don't give the full credit. Actually, what does it say? Yeah, just the flight time tunes. There's not enough credits in there. That's all it is. That's all it is the booklet.
Yeah. Wow. Did they do the whole album, Steve?
Yeah, they did the whole album. Jam and Loose. The whole album, they produced it. So.
Yeah, goodness. I mean, if I go for my honorable mentions, Tender Love, such a beautiful ballad, such a for Force MDs. No More Drama by Mary. The whole build up and the whole emotional, the way it goes up and stops and slows down. Usher's You Remind Me.
Nandi, they took that song, they took the hook from the soap operas, The Young and the Restless. That's what they sampled.
Oh, dun, dun, dun. Yeah, okay. There's a track that you guys might not remember that Jimmy Jam and Terry List did. And I'm not talking about the Ice Cube's debut, Ice-T's debut album, but I'm talking about Slow and Sexy, Shabba Ranks featuring Johnny Gill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Slow and sexy.
Yeah.
Shabba.
I mean,
Shabba.
yeah. I mean, just Jimmy Jam and Terry List doing a reggae track.
Dance, right?
Yeah, with Johnny Gill. I mean, that just shows that Teddy's my all-time favorite, but I've always had to throw my hat down to Jimmy and Terry just because that they just can go anywhere and just dominate in any category and stuff.
When I was doing my research,
done too many.
Do you know what I missed as well? What we would have all missed these. They did a record for Sting called, what was it? My Funny Friend and Me. It's on a soundtrack and it uses one of the New Edition records, and I think it's the melody from I'm Still in Love with You. You can hear it going all the way through this Sting record.
Wow, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, My Empress Groove soundtrack it's on from 2000, and they also did 2 tracks for Rod Stewart from 1996.
Okay.
A couple of ballady mid-tempos, which are very, very poppy, but very credible. Very credible. Rod Stewart. Yeah. So, like I say, they were just so versatile.
Yeah. They are. I mean, in fact, there's some other honorable mentions. Definitely any other stuff they did with on Perspective. So that's Sound of Blackness, solo, Mint Condition. I love the whole More Money soundtrack. The things there. But also the stuff they do at New Edition, they just really know how to get the best blend from them. Even they Home Again album, Still in Love with You. They had some other big tracks that were there. But if I go through my top 10, I start off with Janet Jackson's What Have You Done For Me Lately, but that was closely followed by All Right featuring Heavy D. Number 9 was Yolanda Adams' Open Up My Heart. Number 8 was Optimistic, Sound of Blackness. Number 7 was Criticized by Alexander O'Neill. Number 6 was Encore, Cheryl Lynn. Oh, beautiful track. Number 5 was the Any Heartbreak sort of production. So although Boyz II Men was probably the better one for me, but Can You Stand the Rain and Is It Isn't Love and Not My Kind of Girl. Number 4, A Broken Heart Can Mend, Alexander O'Neill. Just amazing. I'm naming tracks that these guys did in the Arsenal. Number 3, The Finest, SOS Band. Number 2 was Saturday Love by Cyril and Alexander O'Neill. Number 1 is my all-time, one of my top 5 all-time favorite songs, On Bending Knees by Boyz II Men. I think that's their best out song.
Let's give
It's much
your
better
top
than
10 a
I
round
make.
of applause here, Andy. A round of applause, mate. It's one of your best top 10s,
Nope.
I think. It's one of your best top 10s, mate.
Well, because Teddy's known it, but I love On Bending Knees. I just love the whole story and the way it goes. Then one year coming in at the end, and it is an amazing track. And as I said, my favorite all-time favorite Jimmy and Terry track, and that makes one of my top 5 favorite songs ever. But we do have to admit that these guys are just in a league of their own. And
What
as
about the
much
Christmas
as, you know,
record?
and next week we're doing
What about the Christmas
Pardon?
records they did? Yeah,
the
they
Christmas
did.
records.
Yeah, they did Let It Snow. I'm sure they did Let It Snow for Boyz II Men.
No, that was Brian McKnight.
All right, I'm getting mixed up then. Well, they did
that
Alexander
was
O'Neill
Brian.
Christmas album, didn't they? Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah. But you know what? Next week we're going to do our top 10 favorite LA and Babyface track album, and you would see that, you know, there'll be some similarities, or you could tell an LA and Face stuff. You can sometimes tell a Teddy, but what we've just uncovered with Jimmy and Terry is just that there's just too much work that they've done. The variety of everything is just amazing, and they definitely deserve their flowers. And this was probably one of my favorite episodes, because it seems as if we were close by what we put in there. But you know, I think next time when we do this, we have to limit our production, so you can't have half the album, half the list on SOS Band. We have to probably say, okay, maximum of 2 tracks per artist, so we can sort of talk the variety
well,
next
listen,
time.
there was no David Foster shockers tonight. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. It's hard, because when you start looking at people, kind of associate them with this man, but the breadth of the records, man, is just entirely. I had so many, because, you know, throwing the names out there, I hope people go back and just go back, because those records really deserve to be heard. So if you're a person, you study music, you study production, just going back and looking at those records, and just the key is they all have that unique sound quality, and they were consistent, because Jim, you know, whether it was Lisa Keith, Big Jim, Jimmy Jam, and Toy Lewis, they had the background singers, they had everybody, man. So they had their whole team, GR production situation, the whole Flight Time team, background singers like that. That gave those records the consistency. And when you get a chance to interview Jimmy Jam about his super group, because at the time when Janet Jackson was hot, they were going to be part of a group called The Secret, and people were waiting on it. So when you look in terms of producers being at the forefront, Jam and Lewis, you know, LA and Babyface were kind of behind the scenes. Jam and Lewis in the videos, you know, and they just added that vibe, that not just the sonic signature, but the visual signature. And so you got to give them credit, but also they were like the first producers out there on the visibility side, you know, alongside the artists, which was really good. So yeah.
if you know, I'd even say this, right? If you were an artist between the years, say, 86 to say, I don't know, 1991, and you either had a label or you had enough money to book a session with Jam and Lewis at the time, to go in the studio with Jam and Lewis to come out with a song and a production, there's probably an 80% chance you were going to walk out of that studio as an artist with a record that's going to be played 40 years later by the likes of us. There's your guarantee. There's your guarantee. That is the hit, you know.
You're right, Steve.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Let's give from 84. From 84, you're talking about around 2004, 2000. You got to look, man, these guys had a 20-year run full of hits. Some hits after that. But if you 2004, even if you just back it up a little bit, these guys had 15, at least at a minimum, 15 years straight full of hits. I'm not talking about, if you got Motown, they got multiple songwriters and producers or whatever. He had his window, LA Babyface. But man, when you look at their team, that's almost 20 years worth of hit records, man.
Yeah.
The literal assembly line.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, it's yeah, you know, and they've created that image, you know, with the hats and the suits, and you know, those who know them well understand that the secret to their success is their friendship and brotherhood. There's no formal contract. There is no egos in their relationship. When I interviewed Donnie Simpson and who's good friends with them, you know, Terry Lewis said, you know, it's you know, if the guy needs my heart, my kidney, he takes it. You know, there's you know, that's how close they are. And Jimmy's the guy who does most of the talking, and Terry sits back and he doesn't feel as if he's been overshadowed because, hey, you know, TL Cross said that when you talk to Jimmy and Jimmy would be the one who'd say, well, when you made Can You Stand the Rain, how did it go? And Jimmy would say, well, they flew in late. You know, Ralph was tired, so he had Ricky to come do the singing, and then Ralph, so he'll go for the whole backstyle stuff. While Terry will be talking about the song, he'll just tell you about the whole thoughts about why I'm writing the lyrics and how it all matches up. And they come from very different perspectives and stuff. So, you know, when you hear so many groups and production teams that split up over money and all that stuff, it just shows that when you put all that aside and just focus on the creation, magic appears. We didn't even mention anything they did with the Karen White's that follow-up album. I don't think we mentioned anything we did with Shantae Moore. Shantae's Got a Man. You know, there's just so much stuff that we couldn't even fit in.
There. There's comments coming in about Rub You the Right Way, Johnny Gill. You know, so it's a great record. You know, you put it. So listeners, you put it in your top 10. Didn't make my top 10, but it still wrapped my body tight. You know, Johnny Gill and Johnny Gill records are just great records. It's like,
and well, Johnny's one of your all-time favorites, Stevie. So I know that yeah.
It'd be my New Jack top 10 of all time, but does it make my Jam and Lewis top 10? That's it. That's the thing. That's what I thought about.
When you look at them, man, me up when you see like Bell Biv DeVoe, right? They come out a new edition, and they're expected as artists. So when you look at Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they're part front man. Prince is writing all the songs, and these guys are just trying to spring songs, and now they're producing the SOS band. They're not getting paid. They're going out, they're doing production on the side, and they get caught up in the snowstorm, man. Back for a Time concert. That's where the whole suits and the whole image comes to throw back to the Time will look. They get caught up in the snowstorm in Atlanta, man, and they can't get back. And the best thing that ever happened, because now those guys take off, man. You know, it's a period of time when you look at their output is, even though Prince is doing what he's doing, they're surpassing Prince in a lot of ways in terms of placing a lot of songs, their whole creative output. Even though we know Prince either got albums in the vault and songs in the vault. Prince's peak, we know it's that era, maybe from 82 to 87. Terry Lewis, their run, I will put them up against anybody, man. And I love,
and they make everyone's top 10. They make everyone's top 5 producers. So all the producers that I've interviewed, they always say Jimmy and Terry will be in the top 5. You know, they may have Stevie in there and stuff, but Jimmy and Terry will always be in the top 5. Still got, yeah. Actually,
let's see. You know, after the video, let's see your top 10s in the comments on YouTube. We'll go. You know, let's see them. Try and write. You know, try and write your top 10s down, viewers. Seriously, and see.
Yeah, please
your
do. Please do.
We'll check them out.
Yeah, please do.
If this had been like 1991, it would have been saying, "Send your letters in. Send your letters in." You might get a response.
Yeah, but definitely, guys. Next week, same time next week, will be LA and Babyface top 10.
Well,
interesting
really
because we're going to have
an hour and 20 minutes. I thought we'd have been here till about 2 a.m. doing this top 10 actually.
Yeah,
well, we've done really well to fly through it.
Yeah, no, and you know what we for those of you guys who missed our Christmas edition where we invited people in to come in and talk, we'll once we in February we're going to we have an opportunity to do it again, where when you guys can come in and talk and share your piece and stuff like that, so you can be part of that. Yeah. Then after LA and Babyface, it will be Teddy Riley. We'll have to have some rules because we can't have all Whitney Houston, LA and Babyface, so we can't have a whole Bobby Brown. We have to limit it to 2 songs per artist because I could easily just stop or Karen White would just have her whole album. So we will limit it to 2 songs per artist.
We definitely do a Dallas,
so at least we can
comment here. Dallas Austin top 10. That's in the pipeline.
Yeah, Dallas Austin.
We've got an Untouchables top 10. We'll probably have a Kyle West.
Yeah, Kyle West. Yeah, I mean, I think So the 3 of us we're gonna talk about, because after LA and Babyface is Teddy Riley, and then there's Untouchables. There could be Neptunes and Timbaland, but we'll look in that. So next week, LA and Babyface top 10 productions, and we'll take it from there. But guys,
we're going to go offline and have an hour's chat about things we daren't talk about live. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah,
now.
That is the strange thing, because we would probably, if we could, we would probably stay on and actually, do a Cat Williams segment and just
Cat Williams
talk with
you.
Yeah, but we're mindful of that.
Don't be rewriting history. Don't be rewriting history. Oh, what an interview!
But yeah, please tune.
I don't.
Yeah, it was a big one. But
rewriting history, especially when I wrote the history. Damn. Losers,
so tune in with us next week, same time.
Rewrite history, Losers. It's only losers that rewrite history.
Yeah, yeah. The whole Mr. Potato Head, yeah. Well, Steve Harvey might be listening in, so hence we don't want to go too much in that. But we'll, as I said, we'll do our production next time. As I said, Ellen Babyface, Teddy Riley, and we'll decide afterwards and stuff. But you know what? As we always say, guys, is that you guys who tune in and make the comments really help make the show as well. Because when we picked these, even the category today, it was from previous episode when people said, "Hey, what about this and that?" And having you guys along the journey does help us as well. So we appreciate it, and hopefully next week will be even as much fun as well. So Stevie, Sheldon, any final words before we close out?
Thank you for tuning and listening. We appreciate you. That's all I got to say tonight. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, I second that emotion for tuning in, listening, checking this out. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the love, man. And so continue to do so. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Take care.